Today in the nation's capital, the ACLU and Gender Liberation Movement are unveiling their Freedom to Be quilt on the National Mall today as part of World Pride. The project, which is inspired by the 1985 AIDS Memorial quilt, is a 9,000 square foot collection of over 250 quilt panels handmade by transgender people and their families from across the country. For more on this, let's go ahead and bring in Gillian Branstetter, communication strategist for the ACLU's LGBTQ Project. Gillian, thank you so much for being here. So tell us first here about the Freedom to Be quilt. How did this project even come to be?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Gio. So this project, we started planning this almost 2 years ago, and this was obviously amidst a absolute flood of laws and pieces of legislation being introduced by politicians across the country, targeting transgender people, scapegoating us, banning our speech, banning books by or about us, and most alarmingly, banning the healthcare that many transgender people need. Around 2023, it became apparent to us that we were likely headed to the Supreme Court in one, if not all, of these battles against these policies. And we wanted a grand unified statement from trans people across the country. As folks may know, there's just not a lot of trans people. We're just about under 2% of the population. But that said, we wanted to bring as many people as we could together and invite them to indulge in their own creativity and their own individuality and bring their own experiences, their own identities, their own backgrounds to this statement that ideally is showing not just what we're fighting against, but what we're fighting for. And the reason it's called the Freedom to Be quilt is namely that we want to empower people to have the freedom to be themselves. And fundamentally, that is what trans people are losing in so many of the pitched political battles that are happening right now.
And Gillian, what stories are you hearing from folks around the country as people, come together to create this quilt?
Well, we've hosted quilting events around the country and everywhere from New York and LA and here in DC to rural Idaho and Texas and Missouri. I saw the installation before joining you all here today down on the mall. And there are quilts made in tribute to all these places. People really brought their pride in their home and their resiliency to call that place home. Because right now, of course, there are trans people in every community and from all walks of life. And these politicians are desperately trying to push us out of public life altogether. So it's been really heartening to see people bring this really defiant statement of both resiliency and joy and defiance against that effort to silence us.
All right, Gillian Branstetter, we so appreciate you being here on ABC News Live. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.